All right, my beautiful people. Thanks so much for tuning in. Welcome back to What is Truth. I guess this is kind of a segment where I just look at mainstream news, try to break it down from my perspective, in search of other people who are searching for truth. I know that my perspectives or what I observe may not be accurate. Definitely open to your criticism, your thoughts, your ideas. But I truly believe that we as a people have to begin to think about the things that they put in front of us. And so, first and foremost, so we're going to be talking about today my initial thoughts on what happened last night. Today is July 8th, 2016. We just had a shooting that took place um, in Dallas, where police officers were ambushed. First and foremost, I pray for those police officers and their family. And we don't want to see more bloodshed, but I do just want to look at the story. So, really, I'm just going to start. I'm a person that looks at CNN. You can do this on any of the platforms that you might, scan. You might be a Fox person, you might be a Guardian person. I'm not quite sure. And it's good to get it from different sources, but we'll see a very similar theme that takes place in the media and the story that they give us. And so my goal is just to get you to think. And as you think, if you have questions, that come, if you notice anything bizarre, that's a great time to start questioning what you're seeing. And so the goal is to break down the story, and I don't think this is done enough. What is being presented to us, and so we have here, the CNN story of what just happened: a Dallas sniper attack, five officers killed during protests against police. This title would have you believe that the protest had something to do with the firearms that happened against the police, and so I'm not going to show the video. That's going to be against YouTube, but I wanted to get some initial thoughts out. So I'm just going to really start by going through the story that CNN has given us based off their eyewitness accounts and everything that's out there. So shooters killed 5 officers during a protest against police downtown Dallas, marking the deadliest incident of U.S. law enforcement since September 11, 2001. That kind of stood out. Obviously, they're highlighting it, saying that this is the craziest thing that's happened to law enforcement in 15 years. And it is kind of comical. It's not funny, but it's kind of comical because it's only 5 officers that are down, only 11 officers that were injured. I'm not saying only as if, that's still a lot. But in the past 15 years, with all of the raids that happened, they're saying that this is an attack on police, and from what we understand, we can see that it could be, the narrative is that this is in retaliation for the deaths that took place recently with Austin Sterling and Fox Castile or something like that. So let's keep on going, but they point that out so we can focus on the deadliest incident for U.S. law enforcement. Now, the gunfire started Thursday night as demonstrators marched against the shooting deaths of 2 African-American men by police in Louisiana and Minnesota. So the narrative is playing that we have a protest that's going on in Dallas, and this protest is in line with other protests that are going on across the country, where people are taking a stand, or at least protesting or marching for the police shootings that happened to 2 African-American men. One took place 2 days ago in Louisiana, a day ago in Minnesota. These are 2 events that happened right after the speech from Jesse Williams at the BET Awards. And now we're moving into a protest in Dallas that's standing up for, police brutality to African-American men. And at this protest, you had firing that took place on police, and police actually have died. So it's getting ugly, guys. And again, I pray for those police. I pray for their families. I pray for those that we've lost. But I also pray that the eyes of our understanding will be enlightened, that we would open our eyes and start to see the narratives that the mainstream media puts out. And they are the biggest propaganda machine ever invented, will incite us to more and more violence if we're not careful. It definitely doesn't move us to the area of love. It moves us to the area of hate. and I just don't believe we should be operating out of hate. So, so a total of 11 officers were shot, and some of the 6 officers injured are undergoing surgery. Authorities said it was the deadliest single attack on law. Again, they repeated again. It was the deadliest single attack on law enforcement since 2001 terror attacks, where 72 officers died. Thank God it wasn't 72 officers, but I mean, another tragedy. Again, I'm just doing this real quick to get this out. Now, here's what we need to know. A total of 10 officers were shot by snipers. So we had snipers. This tells us that that whoever shot was high up in the rafters. They were far away, skilled people with great aim. Dallas Police Chief David Brown said an 11th officer was shot during an exchange of gunfire with suspects. So they found the suspects and they had an altercation. Brown said it's unclear how many suspects were involved, but 3 people are in custody. Dallas police negotiated and exchanged gunfire with suspects for hours at a parking garage in downtown somewhere. That suspect is dead. I wonder if we're going to get a video on that suspect. The official did not say how the suspect died. There's another part to this story. They're now talking about possible bombs being planted all over Dallas. More scare tactics here. The suspect told our negotiators that the end is coming. Brown said the suspect at the garage also told negotiators that more officers are going to get hurt. More scare tactics, that the bombs are planted all over downtown Dallas. So the suspect gets hemmed up and he starts yelling out that the end is coming and that more officers are going to get hurt and that we got bombs. Now, no one wants to hear the word bomb. Now, of course, again, you got to ask yourself, who is giving you this story? This is a story, I would say there's more scare tactics here, get more people upset, afraid, get more people angry, get more people ready to fight, get more people ready to go do some crazy stuff. They want war, guys. We gotta get to a place where we calm down, we have a sound mind. We think now it's hard to do. When people are dying, it's hard to be calm. We know that. But that's why you don't have a funeral the day after. The funerals for anything take a week or 3 weeks or so. People can get their emotions together. So, but basically, scare tactics. The police found no explosives during primary and secondary sweeps of the area of Dallas, said the Dallas police. 2 of the shooters were snipers who fired ambush style from elevated positions. Now, that's critical information in my eyes because, again, if we look here, guys, they have highlighted ambush style. They've highlighted elevated positions. Now, I pretty much kind of had a good idea of what elevated positions was, but I didn't know what ambush style meant. I mean, and so when I was talking to someone, they said, well, that's when it's coordinated. And this is somebody that was in the military, and that's when you're up high and you're crossfiring down onto someone. That's what he said. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to look up the word ambush style on Google. And this is just what I use. I want to know what they are saying it is. In other words, I know that the people who created Google are the same people who run the media, the same people who run the big 6 corporations. So I wanted to see what did they have to say about ambush style. So ambush style is a group of people ambush their enemies. They attack them from hiding and waiting for them. They attack them after hiding and waiting for them. So if we use this logic, it says if someone is lying in ambush, they're hiding and waiting for someone. So if we look at the top of this, or if we listen to what Obama said, and we'll get to that in a second, Obama said that these were calculated attacks. Ambush style says these people are lying and waiting for someone. They was waiting to attack. And so I'm going to try and draw a connection to, well, did it have anything to do with the protesters? And I would say no. I would say we had a peaceful protest. We did have a shooting that took place in the area of the protest, but we'll see because they gave us a map of what really happened. And I want you guys to see that as well. They talk about who was killed. A DART officer, again, we pray for those families. We have someone that has, that filmed the shooter. I guess one of the shooters, they're saying it was 2 shooters. Here's what they said. He said, this was an attack planned long before, waiting for an opportunity to go. I think there was so much logistically, ammunition-wise, they may not have planned the location, they may not have planned a vantage point, but they had prepared for an attack before last night's shooting in my guess. This is from Steve Moore, who was a retired FBI special agent. So this attack, guys, was premeditated from what they're saying, what they think. This attack was something that was planned long ago. Now, how long ago? Because the protests were probably just, just formed, because we just had the deaths 2 days ago. So it's not like the protests were planned a long time ago, but the ambush was planned a long time ago. And maybe, just maybe, this protest gave them the opportunity to carry out their plans. Or maybe, just maybe, there's someone there. This is organized chaos. They call it order out of chaos. This is an organized attack. I think it has something to do with some military personnel, not that they're in the military, but they know the art of war. Whoever did this, Barack Obama said that they don't know all the facts, but we do know there's a vicious, calculated, calculated. So we got words calculated. We got words that's saying that it was planned long ago. They're telling us, the news tells the story, but they have hidden messages inside of their story, and they're telling us that this was an attack that was planned long ago. I think it was planned long before the protest was formed, but once they knew the protest was formed, it gave them an opportunity, whoever they is, to go ahead and do an attack that will continue to incite fear in the American people and move us more towards a race war. Now, here's what I like here, guys. They gave us a map. So if you look at this map, we see that we started here, the protest march. It started here, guys. Over here, up here, it went past the place. Here's the place where the standoff took place. March, 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 all the way down here. March, 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 march. And they're coming down Bellow Garden. They're on their way to the end of the protest. And over here, where they passed a long time ago, is where the shooting took place. I would, in my eyes, this had nothing to do with this. This is peaceful people protesting, marching, going about their business. We have a staged area where only police are. The snipers probably up here and up here, or over here and over here, whatever. And they're coming down on only the place where only police are. These snipers had to know that this is the only place that the police would be. No civilians were hurt. We did have a civilian that was kind of right here who filmed it. Maybe he kind of wandered off from over here and he was just kind of wandering or whatever. I'm not sure. But the majority of the people were away from the shooting. They were over here finishing their peaceful protest. And now they've connected this peaceful protest, or the story is connecting the peaceful protest some kind of way to this standoff where the police are over here by themselves, probably blockading this street or something like that. I'm not quite sure. And then after the shots, took place and some people died, unfortunately, we had some gunfire exchange right here again, away from all of the people, which is good. But but when I first heard the story, I was like, how do we have a sniper with all of these protesters and no civilians got hurt? Well, the way that they did that, guys, is they had the area staged over here so that no civilians would be hurt, so that the narrative can read that it was a direct attack on the police, which it clearly was, which it was. But then to connect the protests or the people who are responding in peace to the deaths of unarmed Black men by the cops, they're going to make the connection that now whoever or somebody that was here, orchestrated this, and we can continue the bickering between white, the justice of the shield versus the justice of the people, particularly the justice of the white shield versus the justice of the Black people. And again, that's the narrative, unfortunately, that continues to play out, the race war, the class war. But this is what I'm seeing. And of course, I would like for you to share your thoughts. But I'm glad that they drew us a picture and they show us from that it's clear that these people over here are off to doing what they're doing. They're headed down here. How did this happen over here? It looks like the area was staged for an attack. so that they can have a story to give us today, which is just happens to be a day after the story we got yesterday, which was the death of Anfield Castile or something like that, which is a day after the death of Alton Sterling. Man, this stuff, you can't make this up. Great script, great narrative to continue to perpetuate, division. Us against them against us. Now everybody's gonna be on social media, upset, fearing for their life. I don't know about you guys, but I read a Bible that says, "Fear no evil. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall not fear." That's me. I don't know what you believe, but I truly believe that we cannot operate in fear. We operate in fear, bad things. We may be subject to doing bad things because we're going to operate out of an emotion that's going to cause us to retaliate. And we're going to be retaliating, I believe, on the wrong people. Whoever staged this, whoever was calculated enough to have an ambush style attack on the police, I just don't think that it has anything to do with these peaceful protesters. These people had, ammunition. They had sniper rifles. They were loaded. They were ready to go to war. Could it have been someone that came in and acted like they were protesting? Yeah, that's probable. But I just don't believe what they're trying to tell. Now, it's going to be very interesting when pictures start coming out about who the suspects are. And unfortunately, guys, be ready for mostly, if not all, of those suspects to be African American. I mean, that would just fit the narrative. It's going to be African American suspects, I believe, for the most part. But we'll see. The story is still unfolding. They did get one suspect that they said was African American. They let him go. His brother was one of the people that put the march together, that organized the march. And so as we just kind of go down the story here, it says witnesses said the protesters were marching peacefully when the gunfire started again. The protesting, there was a peaceful protest. I don't think the protest, the people who were in the protest and that were peacefully protesting had anything to do with this killing, with this assault on the police. But of course, because it happened at the place that, around the corner from where they were protesting, happened in the general area, we're going to have the talk about, Black Lives Matter versus Blue Lives Matter. I mean, please don't fall into the hype. That this is what it's all about, guys. They want to keep us quarreling against one another. And we just at some point, we got to stop and think, who is the puppet master pulling all these strings for us to be able to get these images and these stories that make us react in a particular way? So that's kind of it, guys. I just wanted to get this out real quick. That's my take on right now on an update on what's going on with this shooting against the police in Dallas. It's interesting to me that it happened to be in Dallas versus in Louisiana or Minnesota, but just another linking city to the ever-evolving plot that is linking the Blue Lives Matter versus Black Lives Matter. The cops that shot an unarmed black man in Louisiana one day, next day shot an unarmed man in Minnesota, both national news, and then the next day we have firings that's going back on the police. The agenda: Blue Lives Matter versus Black Lives Matter. And if this goes to war, guys, we know that the blue will win. They have more firepower. They have more tactics. They are organized. So if you do go to war, when I say war, I'm just talking about go up against those that you feel oppress you. Don't go to a gunfight with a knife. And please, I would say, let's not have a gunfight. Let's be smart. Let's win with our intellect. Let's start going to the right places to have these protests. And that's just my general opinion. But I wanted to get this out. I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch, man. This is ERGJ. I'm just putting thoughts out about what I'm seeing in the news. I'm seeking truth, and I'm seeking people who are seeking truth so we can find truth together. I truly don't believe that every story that is given to me is 100% truth. I believe there's holes in all of these stories on mainstream media, just about all of them. And I think that as we think and as we analyze and as we look into these things together, that we can find truth. If you come across anything, feel free like this video, so I know that you guys want me to keep doing stuff like this. I hope it helps. I hope it helps for you to get a better perspective on life and on these stories that are presented to us by mainstream media, which are intended to have us in a position of hate, have us in a position of fear, have us not operating in love. The enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And I believe that television, particularly mainstream, is the biggest propaganda machine ever invented since Hitler. ERGJ. Till next time, guys. I'm out.